Our top stories tonight. The State Security Ministry investigates the silent anti-rape protest during President Jacob Zuma's address at the IEC Centre. Prison authorities say Oscar Pistorius denies reports that he tried to kill himself. This is eNews Direct Weekend Edition. Good evening, I'm Amy McIver.
And I'm Ronald Masinda. Good evening. You can comment on any of our stories by following us on Facebook and Twitter at eNews Direct.
Or you can check our content on our website, eNCA.com/direct. The State Security Ministry says it's awaiting a report on what led to last night's protest at the IEC Centre in Pretoria. 4 women staged a silent anti-rape protest during President Jacob Zuma's address. They made reference to Kwezi, the woman who accused the president of rape in 2006. Zuma was acquitted of those charges.
While President Jacob Zuma declared the municipal elections free and fair, these 4 women staged a quiet protest. They stood in front of the podium facing the audience, holding up pieces of cardboard with the words, "I am 1 in 3, 10 years later, Kanga, and remember Kwezi." They were referring to President Zuma's acquittal on rape charges. The protesters were later forcefully removed by the president's security. One of the women behind the protests say their protest action was not premeditated.
When the 1 in 9 campaign, on the day of the acquittal, the 1 in 9 campaign released a statement and said an acquittal doesn't mean rape didn't happen. Many women, rape survivors and victims in this country are raped daily, and their cases are either not taken forward, they are told that they are lying, their rapists get off scot-free every single day. So an acquittal doesn't mean it didn't happen. And I believe her. I believe Kwezi. I believe that she would not have gone through all of that.
The women also say the demonstration had nothing to do with the economic freedom fighters whose leadership walked out as President Zuma began his address. But the ANC Women's League insist the protesters were used by the EFF to embarrass Zuma.
They are the last people because just yesterday the nation kept quiet when he insulted Nomvula, who was during the Women's Month on TV. No one ever talked about the issue. And then today everyone is running around and they want to resuscitate a story that died long ago. And it died because the president went to court.
The State Security Ministry has described the protest as unfortunate, and a report on what exactly happened is expected soon.
We have not been in a position to get the footage. We will not be able to comment. As I've indicated, we are awaiting a report of the investigation of those security operatives or leaders that were on the ground, that were handling the situation.
At the same time, the ANC Secretary General, Gwedi Mantashe, says people are allowed to protest and voice their opinions about anything. John Bailey, Pretoria.
Now that the results are in, thousands of councillors who've been elected into office will be inducted and shown the ropes. Authorities say they're satisfied with the way Wednesday's elections were conducted. The interministerial committee set up to oversee the polls says it's grateful to its teams which ensured violence-free elections.
Now that the elections are over, the real work begins at the country's 44 district municipalities and 8 metros. Municipal managers have 14 days to call their first council meeting.
At this meeting, the speaker will be elected. The speaker will then take over proceeding and facilitate the election of the mayor of each municipality.
Thereafter, a councillor induction program will kick in. Authorities say this will enable a smooth transition between different administrations.
This program will serve to inform the councillors of their roles and responsibility in relation to that of officials.
But with so many hung municipalities, what happens if there are no coalition agreements?
If there's no agreement within the provided period, which is 14 days after the declaration of elections, the Constitution provides both the provincial and the national sphere of government an authority to intervene in situations where municipalities are not functional as a result of them being able to reach an agreement.
The ministerial committee tasked with providing leadership in the municipal elections has given that process the thumbs up. Although lives were lost in the run-up to the polls, authorities believe those deployed to ensure violence-free elections delivered. Leranzo Themba, Pretoria.
With all the ballots counted, it's clear the ANC has had a big wake-up call. The ruling party has retained control of the majority of South Africa's municipalities, but it's lost its support base in major metros. Senior party leaders are candid about the need to bounce back and prepare for the next election 3 years from now. The ANC in Johannesburg cancelled a scheduled press briefing today, saying it needs to reflect on the results. But what lessons will the ANC take from this election?
The numbers are there for all to see. The ANC is losing major ground in big urban centres, where your average voter is educated and often employed. Despite its best efforts to appeal to them through music, celebrities and dance, the ANC has failed.
A dab has become a stab. It's been counterproductive. And this tab has come because of the simple view of the dismissiveness, the arrogance, the hubris, and the focus away from the core needs of what the urban metropolitan dweller actually is looking for.
While the ANC has put on a brave face following the results, analysts believe it needs to act quickly or face the consequences in the 2019 national election.
There's no history in the African continent where a liberation movement has become a government in a post-colonial period or post-independence period, and then at some point it lost credibility and support, and then later regained. Unless the ANC does the soul-searching honestly, it will continue on the decline.
But with vested interests both in and outside the party relying on the current government to succeed economically and politically, this will be easier said than done.
There's a massive network and structure of interests which need to be unraveled, but a strong potential leadership, new leadership renewal, organizational cultural renewal can possibly turn that around.
This need for change is likely to dominate discussions ahead of the ANC's next elective conference in December 2017. Nicolaus Bauer, Johannesburg.
In other news, Oscar Pistorius has denied reports that he tried to kill himself. That's according to correctional services, who've confirmed that the 29-year-old was treated for minor injuries yesterday. Correctional services says prison authorities have also denied reports that blades were found in Pistorius' cell.
Reports that Oscar Pistorius deliberately cut his own wrists have made global headlines, just weeks after he was sentenced to 6 years behind bars for murder. Reports quoted an unnamed inmate here at the Kgosi Mampuru II facility saying that the injuries to Pistorius' arms and wrists were self-inflicted. But Correctional Services has subsequently come out and stressed that Pistorius himself was adamant that he had not attempted suicide. They've also described his injuries as minor. Pistorius has told authorities that he was on his stumps in his cell on Friday night when he slipped in water on the floor and sustained cuts and bruises from broken coffee mugs. That claim seems to be supported by his brother Carl with this tweet. Pistorius was taken to hospital just after noon on Saturday and subsequently discharged. Correctional Services says area management here at the Kgosi Mampuru prison have denied reports that blades were found in Pistorius' cell, but spokesperson Manelisi Bolela says the department will investigate this further. Karen Moore, Pretoria.
The United Nations has found that every year close to 1 million newborn babies in South Africa are not being breastfed. It increases the risk of the infants dying within the first month. Breast milk banks have now been set up to help those at risk, and the work they do is being highlighted during Breastfeeding Week.
Close to 90% of all newborn babies in South Africa do not get breastfed in their first 6 months of infancy. This increases risks to their immune system by at least 7 times.
The first milk that comes out immediately after birth is called colostrum. That milk provides the baby with the first immunization, which means it protects the baby from harmful illnesses like diarrhea, malnutrition, which can lead to diabetes, chest infections and ear infections.
For mothers, the benefits of breastfeeding include weight loss, protection against certain cancers, and it's a money saver.
We promote, protect and support breastfeeding because we know that if babies are breastfed, we've got much better cognitive development and at the end a better economic environment.
Mothers are legally entitled to take 2 30-minute breaks a day at work to breastfeed. But some mothers cannot produce breast milk. The Milk Matters Breast Milk Bank at the Mowbray Maternity Hospital processes 7 litres of donated milk daily to help mothers and infants in need.
1 litre can help about 100 babies, so that 7 litres can help 700 babies in effect.
Experts say the lives of an estimated 800,000 newborns in South Africa could be saved annually if they're exclusively breastfed. Piladi Situsa, Cape Town.
Moving to news on the international front now, Brazil's police bomb squad is having a busy time at the Rio Olympics. They've detonated several unattended bags this week. The most recent one was a backpack left near the finish line of the men's cycling race. It's believed to have belonged to a homeless man, but protocol requires that any unattended objects must be destroyed. Human rights activists say an airstrike on a hospital in northwestern Syria has killed 10 people. Rebels claim Syrian and Russian forces are deliberately targeting medical facilities. At the same time, rebel groups claim they've broken the government siege of the key city of Aleppo. Days of fierce fighting have claimed more than 500 lives. And in Thailand, citizens have voted in favor of a new constitution that critics say will entrench military rule. But the junta says the new constitution is designed to heal more than a decade of divisive politics. No debate or campaigning against the change was allowed ahead of the vote. The Pokemon Go craze has been taken to a new level. The world's first Pokemon Go competition has been held in Hong Kong, and hundreds of people have taken up the challenge.
With their heads glued to their phones, over 600 people took part in the Pokegame competition. Their goal, to catch 12 Pokemon. Some took the challenge so seriously, they even skipped meals. And not even the sweltering heat could deter these Pokemon enthusiasts.
Today, even though it's really hot and we are sweating a lot, we are having a lot of fun. I think this event is great.
The winner took home $386 in prize money.
Well, that's your entertainment news for tonight. After the break, Louis has all your weather details.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Weather Centre. Sunday brought largely dry weather to the country, as well as clear conditions. And although the satellite imagery looks very busy in the south, this was all thick cirrus cloud across the area. But we also had some low cloud moving in from the Southern Ocean that thickened up along the southern coastline of the Western Cape, where a couple of drops of rain fell in the Overberg as well as towards the Garden Route. On Monday, KwaZulu-Natal can expect cooler weather conditions, a possibility for a few light showers along the coastal belt of the province. Richards Bay mostly cloudy with a maximum of 21 degrees. And in the Eastern Cape, it's going to remain cold throughout the interior of the province for the afternoon after a cloudy morning in the area. There's also a likelihood for a few drops of rain along the coastline, mostly in the morning. For the Western Cape, dry weather expected. It's going to be warmer as you head westwards. Worcester as well as Langebaan both reach a high of 22 degrees. And it's going to be an especially cold day for Colesberg in the Northern Cape, 1 and 13 your expected temperatures. Cooler air in circulation on Monday for the Free State after a lovely weekend. Bloemfontein gets to a maximum of 19 and is also going to be slightly cooler into the northwest, but a lovely day for Zeerust and Rustenburg, 27 degrees with sunny skies in the forecast. Hot in the Lowveld of Limpopo, Musina gets to 31, while we're expecting a maximum of 32 degrees for Phalaborwa. And crossing over into Mpumalanga, it's going to be a lovely day for this province as well. Chilly at first for most areas, a little bit of cloud cover in the forecast for the Lowveld. And finally into Gauteng, the sunshine and warm weather continues. Johannesburg, you get to a spectacular 24 degrees in the afternoon. A look ahead to Women's Day, and we are expecting the public holiday to be cooler up in the far northern parts of South Africa, 22 for Pretoria. Temperatures continue to rise for the Western Cape, and that trend continues into Wednesday with some very good weather across the southern parts. Cape Town at 29 and George reaching a high of 27.
Well, here's a recap of your top stories tonight. The State Security Ministry investigates the silent anti-rape protest during President Jacob Zuma's address at the IEC Centre. Prison authorities say Oscar Pistorius denies reports that he tried to kill